In a world obsessed with speaking, reacting, and proving a point, silence has become rare and incredibly powerful. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. Silence is emotional control. Many conflicts escalate not because of what happened, but because of what was said afterward. Today we're exploring moments when silence protects your peace, preserves your dignity, and gives you the upper hand. Listen closely, because mastering silence can change your relationships, your reputation, and your life. 1. Someone is trying to provoke you. Provocation is rarely accidental. Most of the time, it is deliberate. A subtle attempt to pull you into emotional chaos so someone else can feel powerful, entertained, or validated. A provoking person studies reactions more than words. They watch what irritates you, what embarrasses you, what makes you defensive. Then they press those exact buttons, not because they seek truth, but because they seek control. And the moment you react emotionally, they succeed. Silence disrupts this dynamic entirely. When you refuse to react, the game collapses. The energy they expected to harvest simply isn't there. No argument to escalate, no emotion to amplify, no performance to enjoy. Silence becomes psychological invisibility. This does not mean you tolerate disrespect internally. It means you choose your battlefield wisely. There is a profound difference between not responding and being unable to respond. Silence, in this context, is not helplessness. It is restraint backed by awareness. Often, provocation hides behind humor. Someone may disguise insults as jokes, sarcasm as honesty, or passive aggression as concern. They may laugh while speaking words designed to diminish you. If you defend yourself intensely, they retreat behind, "I was just joking." If you confront them emotionally, they paint you as sensitive. But if you remain calm or silent, the discomfort shifts back to them, because provocation requires participation, and silence is refusal. There is also a deeper truth. Many provocations are projections. A person who feels insecure may attempt to destabilize others. Someone struggling with jealousy may provoke to create emotional imbalance. A person craving attention may provoke simply to become the center of emotional gravity. Understanding this changes your reaction. Instead of feeling attacked, you begin to observe. Instead of engaging, you detach. Silence becomes curiosity rather than suppression. You start asking internally, what is this behavior revealing? What emotional state would lead someone to act this way? What outcome are they hoping for? These questions create emotional distance, and emotional distance weakens provocation. Silence also protects your reputation. In social environments, observers rarely remember the exact words spoken. They remember composure. Two people arguing loudly appear equally unstable, regardless of who was right. But one person escalating while the other remains calm creates contrast. Composure becomes credibility. Over time, people recognize patterns. The provocateur becomes predictable. The silent individual becomes respected. Silence is long-term reputation management. There is also a physiological dimension. Provocation activates the body's threat response, increased heart rate, adrenaline, narrowing attention. In this state, speech becomes impulsive and exaggerated. Words sharpen, tone hardens, regret becomes likely. Silence interrupts this biological cascade. A pause allows your nervous system to settle before your mouth moves faster than your wisdom. It is not about winning the moment. It is about protecting the aftermath. Because most conflicts are not remembered for their cause, but for their escalation. and silence prevents escalation. However, silence does not mean permanent avoidance. Sometimes, boundaries must be expressed, conversations must occur, clarifications must be made, but timing determines effectiveness. Silence during provocation allows you to address the issue later from stability rather than reaction. You respond instead of retaliate, and responses carry authority that reactions never do. Example: imagine you are in a workplace meeting. A colleague, perhaps feeling competitive, says with a smirk, "Well, maybe if you actually finished your tasks on time, this wouldn't be a problem." The room grows quiet. Eyes shift toward you. Your immediate impulse may be to defend yourself, listing completed projects, explaining timelines, exposing their inaccuracies. But notice what is happening. The comment was not structured as constructive feedback. It was structured as public provocation. Its goal was emotional exposure. If you respond defensively, the discussion derails. The meeting becomes personal. Tension rises. Others become uncomfortable, and the provocateur successfully redirected attention. Instead, you pause. You maintain neutral body language. You take a breath. You allow a moment of silence. Then, calmly, you continue discussing the project without acknowledging the jab. Something subtle occurs. The comment hangs awkwardly in the air, unsupported by conflict. Observers register the unnecessary remark. The provocateur receives no emotional reward. The meeting remains productive. Later, if needed, you can privately clarify expectations or address patterns with professionalism. But in that moment, silence protected your composure, the meeting's purpose, your professional image, your emotional energy. The provocateur lost the stage, and you kept the power. Provocation feeds on immediacy. Silence introduces delay, and delay dissolves drama. So the next time someone tries to pull you into emotional turbulence, remember, not every invitation deserves acceptance. Not every comment deserves response. Not every battle deserves participation. Sometimes the strongest move is simple, quiet, and invisible to most. You do nothing, and in doing nothing, you prevent everything. 2. When you're extremely angry. Anger is one of the most powerful emotions a human being can experience. It floods the body with energy, sharpens perception, and creates an urgent desire to act or speak immediately. In those moments, silence feels unnatural, even impossible. Your mind races, your chest tightens, your thoughts become louder than reason, and words begin forming faster than wisdom can filter them. This is precisely why silence becomes essential. Anger does not distort your intelligence, it distorts your timing. Things said in anger often contain fragments of truth, but they are delivered with intensity, exaggeration, and emotional force that transforms communication into damage. The problem is rarely the feeling itself. Anger is informative. It signals boundaries crossed, needs unmet, expectations violated. But expression without regulation converts information into destruction. Silence is regulation in action. It is the pause between impulse and consequence. When extremely angry, your nervous system enters a heightened state, often described as emotional flooding. In this state, cognitive flexibility decreases. You interpret neutral cues as hostile, remember past grievances vividly, and construct arguments aimed more at hurting than resolving. Speech becomes weaponized. You don't just want to be heard, you want impact, and impact-focused speech often targets vulnerabilities. You may bring up old mistakes, expose private insecurities, or say absolute statements like, "You always," or "You never." These phrases feel justified in the moment, but create relational scars that outlast the conflict itself. Silence protects against irreversible sentences, because while emotions are temporary, words are permanent. People rarely remember the exact details of an argument, but they remember how they felt during it. They remember the sentence that crossed a line. They remember the tone that felt cruel. They remember the moment safety disappeared. Silence prevents that moment. It allows anger to exist internally, without exporting its sharpest edges. There is also a common misconception that silence during anger is suppression, that staying quiet means ignoring feelings or avoiding confrontation. But silence is not denial, it is delay. You are not choosing not to address the issue. You are choosing to address it from a state where clarity exists. Think of silence as emotional cooling, not emotional hiding. When anger is intense, perception narrows to offense. After calm returns, perception widens to context. You see intentions, misunderstandings, contributing factors, and possible solutions that were invisible minutes earlier. Silence makes that perspective possible. It is the bridge between reaction and response. Another important aspect is self-respect. Explosive speech often leads to self-directed regret. After anger subsides, people replay conversations and cringe at their own words. They feel guilt, embarrassment, or shame, not because their feelings were invalid, but because their expression was uncontrolled. Silence prevents self-betrayal. It ensures that even in conflict, you remain aligned with your values, your character, and the person you want to be remembered as. Silence also protects relationships. Most relationships do not end because of disagreements. They end because disagreements become emotionally unsafe. When anger repeatedly leads to verbal aggression, trust erodes. People begin to anticipate harm in conversations. Communication shifts from openness to defensiveness. But when anger is met with pause, safety remains intact. Others learn that conflict with you will be intense, but not destructive. That reputation builds emotional trust. There is also power in visible restraint. When someone expects anger and receives composure, it creates psychological dissonance. It slows escalation. It invites reflection. It often softens the other person's tone without you saying a word. Calm is contagious, and silence is often its first signal. Practically, silence during anger can look like brief statements such as, "I need a moment. Let's talk about this later. I'm too upset to respond right now." These are not avoidance tactics. They are boundary statements, protecting the quality of future communication. They communicate responsibility for your emotional state without abandoning the conversation entirely, and that distinction matters. Silence, when paired with intention to revisit, strengthens relationships rather than weakening them. Ultimately, extreme anger is a temporary state, attempting to produce permanent language. Silence interrupts that transaction. It allows anger to pass through your body without passing through your mouth. And once anger subsides, what remains is clarity. Clarity about what hurt, what matters, and what needs to change. That clarity speaks far more effectively than rage ever could. Example: imagine you are having a conversation with someone close to you, a partner, friend, or family member. During the discussion, they casually reveal that they shared something personal about you with others without your permission. You feel an immediate surge of anger. Your mind flashes with thoughts. How could they do that? That was private. They don't respect me. Your heart rate increases. Your voice wants to rise. A sharp response forms instantly. You can't be trusted with anything. You always do this. Maybe I shouldn't tell you anything again. These statements feel justified in the moment, but notice their direction. They are not addressing the action. They are attacking the person. Instead, you pause. You take a breath. You look away briefly. You allow silence to enter the space. You say calmly, "I'm really upset right now. I don't want to say something I'll regret. Let's talk about this later." Hours later, after the emotional intensity fades, you revisit the conversation. Now your words sound different. "When you shared that, I felt exposed. I need to know that what I tell you stays private." Same issue, different emotional state, completely different impact. The first response would create defensiveness and escalation. The second invites understanding and repair. Silence created that difference. Extreme anger demands expression, but wise expression requires timing. So when you feel rage rising, remember, you are allowed to feel everything, but you are not required to say everything. Pause, breathe, stay silent, briefly, intentionally, powerfully, because the strongest apology is the one you never have to make. 3. When someone reveals their true nature, one of life's hardest lessons is realizing who someone truly is, not who they said they were or who you hoped they would be, but who their behavior consistently shows them to be. These moments are rarely dramatic. They appear in small betrayals, broken promises, subtle disrespect, or patterns that slowly contradict your perception. And when this happens, the instinct is often confrontation. You want answers. You want explanations. You want reassurance that what you saw isn't real. But this is where silence becomes powerful. Because when someone reveals their nature, your first responsibility is not correction. It is recognition. Silence allows you to observe without interruption. People can explain away single incidents, but patterns speak clearly over time. If you confront immediately, you may receive convincing words that temporarily ease discomfort without changing behavior. Silence keeps your focus on actions rather than explanations. It shifts your attention from what people say to what they repeatedly do. This kind of silence is not passive. It is aware. You begin noticing consistency. You observe how they treat others, how they respond to boundaries, and whether their behavior changes depending on circumstances. Character often reveals itself when there is no incentive to perform. Silence gives that truth space to emerge. It also protects you emotionally. Discovering uncomfortable truths can trigger disappointment, anger, or confusion. Immediate confrontation in this state often leads to emotional conversations that create more noise than clarity. Silence allows your emotions to settle, so your decisions can become thoughtful rather than reactive. Instead of asking, "How do I confront this?" you begin asking, "What does this mean for me?" That shift is powerful, because understanding someone's nature does not obligate you to change it, only to respond wisely to it. Silence helps you adjust quietly. You may change expectations. You may share less. You may reduce trust or access, all without drama. Not every realization requires announcement. Some truths are meant to inform your boundaries rather than fuel confrontation. Silence also prevents debates about your perception. When confronted, people often defend themselves, reinterpret events, or minimize impact. Conversations become arguments about interpretation, instead of acknowledgement of behavior. But what you observe does not need external validation to be meaningful. Silence allows you to trust your experience without seeking agreement. Importantly, Silence here does not mean avoidance forever. Some relationships require conversations about patterns and impact, but silence ensures those conversations happen from clarity rather than shock. You speak when you understand, not when you discover, and that difference changes everything. Example: imagine you have a friend who presents themselves as supportive and loyal. One day, you learn they shared something personal about you with others in a dismissive way. You feel surprised and hurt. Your instinct is to confront them immediately, but instead, you remain quiet and observe. Over time, you notice they frequently gossip about others, shift tone depending on who is present, and share information casually that others assumed was private. A pattern becomes visible. Now your response is clearer. You may choose to limit what you share, adjust emotional trust, or redefine the closeness of the relationship. And if you later address it, your words come from understanding rather than confusion. Silence gave you perspective. When someone reveals their true nature, the most powerful response is often quiet awareness. Observe patterns, trust what you see, adjust accordingly. Because the moment you stop arguing with reality is the moment you start protecting your peace. 4. When you don't know enough, there is a subtle pressure in conversations to always have something to say. Silences can feel uncomfortable. Pauses can feel like weakness. Not knowing can feel like exposure. So many people speak, not because they understand, but because they fear appearing uninformed. Yet one of the clearest signs of confidence is the willingness to remain silent when knowledge is incomplete. Silence, in these moments, is intellectual humility. And intellectual humility is a strength. When you don't know enough, speaking prematurely often leads to assumptions presented as facts, opinions formed without context, and conclusions built on fragments of information. The risk is not just being wrong. The risk is losing credibility. Because credibility is not damaged by admitting uncertainty. It is damaged by expressing certainty without foundation. Silence protects your reputation for thoughtfulness. It signals that your words are intentional rather than automatic. It communicates that you value accuracy more than participation. This is especially important in environments where information evolves, workplaces, social discussions, decision-making spaces, or emotionally complex situations. Often, conversations contain layers unseen on the surface. There are histories, motivations, constraints, and perspectives you may not yet understand. Entering these conversations with strong declarations can unintentionally oversimplify realities others are navigating deeply. Silence allows space for learning before judging. It transforms you from participant to observer, and observation is one of the fastest paths to understanding. When you listen without preparing a response, you absorb nuance. You notice contradictions. You detect emotional undertones. You hear what is said and what is avoided. These details rarely emerge when your mind is occupied with what you will say next. Silence sharpens perception. There is also psychological safety in silence. When people speak without sufficient knowledge, they often become defensive if corrected. The conversation shifts from discovery to ego protection. Instead of learning, they argue. Instead of asking, they justify. But silence keeps you open. It allows curiosity to replace performance. You can ask questions rather than make statements. You can explore rather than declare. And questions invite dialogue in ways premature opinions cannot. Another dimension is decision-making. Important decisions made on incomplete information often require reversal later. Speaking decisively too early can lock you into positions you may outgrow as new information emerges. Silence preserves flexibility. It keeps your options open while your understanding expands. This is particularly valuable in group dynamics. People frequently form alliances, opinions, or judgments based on partial narratives. Aligning yourself verbally with incomplete information can entangle you in conflicts or perspectives that later prove inaccurate. Silence protects neutrality until clarity exists. It also demonstrates emotional maturity. Many conversations contain implicit invitations to take sides, offer opinions, or validate perspectives quickly. Resisting these invitations when you lack context shows self-regulation. It communicates that your responses are guided by understanding rather than social pressure. You are not reacting to fill space. You are responding to substance. Silence also reduces unnecessary mistakes. Words spoken prematurely often require correction, clarification, or apology. Misinterpretations occur. Intentions get distorted. Relationships experience friction from statements that might have been avoided with more information. Silence prevents preventable repair. It is easier to speak later than to retract earlier. There is also a deeper personal benefit. When you allow yourself to not know, you create internal permission to learn. You move from identity tied to knowledge toward identity tied to growth. Silence becomes an acknowledgement that understanding is a process, and processes cannot be rushed without compromise. Importantly, silence does not mean disengagement. It can be active and visible through attentive listening, thoughtful questions, and reflective responses such as, "I'd like to understand more. Can you explain that further? I don't have enough context yet." These statements are forms of honest silence, participation without pretense. They invite information rather than fabricate certainty. Over time, people begin to trust voices that speak less but say more. Because words delivered after understanding carry weight. They are measured, they are precise, they are credible, and credibility compounds. Ultimately, silence when you don't know enough is respect. Respect for truth, for complexity, for others' experiences, and for your own intellectual integrity. It acknowledges that not every moment requires contribution, and not every conversation requires conclusion. Sometimes the wisest position is temporary incompleteness, because clarity delayed is often clarity improved. Example: imagine you are in a group discussion at work where colleagues are debating why a project failed. Voices grow confident quickly. One person blames poor leadership, another blames lack of resources, a third suggests team incompetence. You were involved only partially and do not know all contributing factors. The pressure to contribute arises. You could align with a dominant opinion or offer speculation to appear engaged. But doing so risks reinforcing an inaccurate narrative or unfairly attributing responsibility. Instead, you remain silent initially. You listen. As the conversation continues, new details emerge. Budget cuts, shifting requirements, timeline compression, and external constraints. The situation proves more complex than early opinions suggested. Later, when you speak, your comment reflects understanding. It seems multiple factors contributed. Maybe we should map out constraints before assigning causes. Your contribution is brief, but grounded. Silence allowed you to replace speculation with insight. When you don't know enough, silence is not absence, it is preparation.
preparation to understand, preparation to learn, preparation to speak with clarity rather than noise. So the next time you feel pressure to respond without full context, remember, you are allowed to pause, you are allowed to listen, you are allowed to not know. Yet, because thoughtful silence today often becomes meaningful speech tomorrow.
5. During meaningless arguments. Not every argument deserves your attention. Some conversations feel intense, urgent, and emotionally charged. Yet when you step back, you realize they are going nowhere. The same points repeat. The same tone sharpens. The same frustration builds. But nothing changes. That's a meaningless argument. It's not driven by curiosity. It's not driven by understanding. It's driven by ego. In these moments, silence becomes power. A meaningful disagreement moves forward. Even if voices rise, there is progress. New insight, compromise, clarification. But meaningless arguments are circular. You explain, they counter. You clarify, they repeat. The content shifts slightly, but the structure stays the same. No one is truly listening. They are waiting to respond. And when listening disappears, resolution becomes impossible. Silence recognizes that reality. Instead of trying to win with better logic or stronger delivery, you step back, because better arguments don't fix ego battles. They extend them. Silence removes fuel from the fire. Without reaction, escalation weakens. Without opposition, performance feels empty. Many arguments continue simply because both people keep supplying energy. When one person stops, the momentum collapses. There's also the matter of proportion. Meaningless arguments often start small. A tone, a preference, a minor disagreement. But pride magnifies them. Suddenly you're defending identity. Instead of discussing the issue, silence restores scale. It allows you to internally ask, will this matter tomorrow? Will this matter next week? Is this worth damaging the atmosphere over? If the honest answer is no, disengagement becomes wisdom. Silence also protects relationships. Words spoken in frustration tend to overshoot the issue. You start attacking character instead of addressing behavior. What began as a small disagreement turns into something personal. Silence prevents unnecessary wounds. It preserves respect, even when agreement isn't possible. Importantly, choosing silence does not mean you avoid all conflict. Healthy conflict is necessary when both sides are open to listening and adjusting. But when reflection is absent and repetition is constant, continued arguing becomes emotional self-sabotage. You are not obligated to stay in conversations that produce no growth. Sometimes calm boundary statements are enough. We're repeating ourselves. This isn't productive right now. Let's pause this, then you stop. Not to punish, not to dominate, but to protect your peace, because participation is optional and peace is valuable. Example, imagine you're discussing something minor with a partner or friend. Maybe how money should be spent, how a task should be done, or even where to go for dinner. You offer your reasoning, they disagree, you clarify, they dismiss your explanation. The tone tightens. Soon you're not debating the issue anymore. You're defending your intelligence. They're defending theirs. The original topic becomes secondary to pride. You notice the pattern. Nothing new is being said. You're both repeating yourselves with more intensity. Instead of pushing harder, you pause. You take a breath and say calmly, "This isn't that important to me. Let's drop it for now." Silence enters the space. The tension dissolves almost immediately, because the argument has lost its engine. What could have escalated into resentment becomes a moment of maturity. You didn't lose. You didn't surrender truth. You chose peace over ego. Meaningless arguments survive on engagement. When you withdraw calmly, they collapse. And sometimes the strongest move in a conflict isn't proving you're right. It's deciding it's not worth the fight. 6. When you're being compared to others. Few experiences are as subtly damaging as being compared to someone else. Whether it's a colleague, friend, family member, or romantic partner, comparisons are rarely neutral. They often carry implicit judgment, subtle criticism, or attempts to push you towards someone else's standards. The message is never just factual, it's emotional. You're not enough as you are. When this happens, your instinct may be to defend yourself. You might list your achievements, highlight your effort, or argue why you're just as capable. You might even feel the urge to measure up, to prove that the comparison is unfair. But this is exactly when silence becomes one of your greatest tools. Silence, in response to comparison, communicates self-assurance. It says, without words, I do not need to be measured against anyone else to know my value. When you react defensively, you reinforce the comparison, making it a contest. When you remain calm and quiet, you remove the energy that drives the comparison. Comparisons often reveal more about the other person than about you. They might be projecting their insecurities, trying to motivate you, or seeking validation for their own choices. Responding with words often gives them the engagement they seek: attention, reaction, or emotional affirmation. Silence denies them that. Observing quietly also allows perspective. You begin to see the pattern and context. Are these comparisons rare or constant? Are they constructive or critical? Are they coming from a place of care, competition, or control? Recognizing the intent behind the comparison empowers you to respond appropriately later, rather than reacting impulsively. Silence protects your self-image and your emotional stability. When you speak out of defense, even with good intentions, your words may carry frustration, insecurity, or resentment, which others can perceive and potentially use against you. Silence, on the other hand, allows you to maintain dignity and composure. There's also a long-term strategic benefit. People who constantly compare others are often looking for leverage, control, or validation. By staying silent, you prevent them from gaining that leverage. You set the unspoken boundary that your worth is not up for debate, and you control how much influence their comparisons have over you. Additionally, silence gives you time to consider whether a response is even necessary. Sometimes the comparison is trivial and can be ignored. Sometimes it's meaningful feedback hidden in a clumsy package. Silence allows you to filter the message from the delivery without immediate judgment or overreaction. Silence also reinforces emotional independence. You learn that your confidence and self-worth are internal, not dependent on how you stack up against others. Comparisons are external pressures. Silence strengthens your internal compass, keeping your focus on your goals, your progress, and your values rather than someone else's standards. It's also a form of subtle influence. People tend to notice composure. When you do not respond to comparison with defensiveness, it can create reflection in the person making the comparison. They may reconsider their motives, realize the unfairness of their behavior, or simply stop using comparison as a tool because it no longer elicits a reaction. Finally, silence in the face of comparison gives you space to choose your actions intentionally. You may decide later to highlight your strengths, set boundaries, or simply ignore the comment. You respond from choice, not reaction,
and responses born of clarity are far more impactful than words spoken in defense or emotion. Example: imagine a colleague constantly compares you to another team member. "Why don't you handle this like Alex does? He's much more efficient." Your first instinct might be to argue your methods, justify your pace, or prove yourself. That reaction, however, validates the comparison and fuels the dynamic. Instead, you remain silent, nod politely, and continue with your approach. You don't engage in a debate. You observe whether this is a one-time comment or a recurring pattern. Over time, the colleague realizes their comparison no longer affects you. They lose the emotional leverage it once held. You maintain your confidence and authority, showing through calm action that your value does not depend on comparison. When people compare you to others, words often play into their agenda. Silence gives you power, clarity, and control, letting your actions and consistency speak louder than any comparison ever could.
7. When you feel the need to impress. Feeling the urge to impress others is one of the most common triggers for unnecessary words. It can sneak into casual conversations, work meetings, social gatherings, or even personal relationships. You start emphasizing accomplishments, sharing details of your achievements, or exaggerating experiences, all in hopes of being seen, liked, or respected. The danger is subtle. The more you try to impress, the less authentic you appear. Over-explaining or over-performing draws attention to insecurity rather than confidence. You may think you're showcasing value, but often you are feeding others' perceptions instead of demonstrating your true worth. Silence in these moments becomes a quiet form of self-respect. It communicates, "I do not need external validation to know my value." When you pause before speaking, you allow your presence, actions, and expertise to do the talking instead of relying on words to construct an image. Those who try to impress often underestimate the power of restraint. Silence gives your achievements space to speak for themselves. People naturally notice competence, calm authority, and quiet confidence. No boasting is required. Silence also protects you from overexposure. Sharing too much or over-explaining can lead to judgment, envy, or misinterpretation. When you remain measured and deliberate with your words, you maintain control over the narrative of your life. You reveal what's necessary and keep the rest private, preserving your dignity and influence. Psychologically, the need to impress often stems from fear of rejection, invisibility, or inadequacy. Silence interrupts this cycle. It gives you time to center yourself, recognize your true value, and detach self-worth from external approval. You speak because it matters, not because you're hoping to gain admiration. In social dynamics, silence can be unexpectedly powerful. When others expect a performance, a pause, a calm, measured presence creates intrigue. People respect those who do not constantly seek their approval. Curiosity and admiration often grow more from measured observation than from verbal displays. Silence also allows better judgment. When you feel compelled to impress, your words may be rushed, exaggerated, or poorly timed. Pausing lets you assess what is appropriate, relevant, or helpful to say. Speaking with intention ensures your contributions land with impact rather than noise. Finally, silence gives you the freedom to observe others. While you're busy trying to impress, you miss important social cues, motives, and dynamics. By stepping back, you understand situations better, respond thoughtfully, and engage only when it truly adds value. Example: imagine being at a networking event. Someone asks about your experience. What do you do? Tell me about your achievements. The urge to impress is immediate. Then you could launch into a long story, list all awards, and highlight every project. That might earn nods, but it risks appearing defensive or insecure. Instead, you pause. You speak concisely, focusing only on what's relevant. I work in project management and recently led a team that streamlined operations, saving significant time for the company. Your words are enough, you haven't over-explained, and your value is clear. The listener senses confidence without exaggeration. Later, curiosity about your expertise naturally encourages further discussion without needing to perform for approval. When the urge to impress arises, remember silence is your shield. It lets your competence, character, and calm presence leave the impression rather than forcing it with words. 8. When you're about to reveal personal plans, sharing your personal plans, whether professional goals, financial moves, travel, or major life decisions, can feel natural among friends, colleagues, or even casual acquaintances. Yet in many situations, revealing too much too soon can create unintended consequences, misunderstandings, or even subtle manipulation. Silence is critical here because information is power. Once you speak, your plans are no longer private. Others may respond with advice, judgment, envy, or, in some cases, interference. While some input can be valuable, premature disclosure often exposes you to unnecessary opinions, pressure, or the possibility of someone influencing your decisions in ways that do not align with your best interests. People may unintentionally or deliberately affect your choices. A colleague might downplay your ambition. A friend may criticize or question your timing. A competitor could exploit your strategy. By remaining silent, you protect the integrity of your plans while giving yourself the space to refine them fully before external input. Silence also preserves flexibility. Plans evolve, and sharing them too early can create expectations or commitments you are not yet ready to honor. Others' opinions can unintentionally shape your approach, and you might feel pressured to act before you are fully prepared. Holding your plans close ensures your actions remain intentional and fully aligned with your goals. There's also emotional protection in silence. Personal plans, especially ambitious or risky ones, can spark doubt, judgment, or even envy in others. Even well-meaning reactions can plant hesitation in your mind or distract you from your focus. By staying quiet, you maintain your confidence, protect your motivation, and shield your vision from unnecessary noise. In addition, silence allows observation. By not sharing immediately, you can observe how people react when they notice your progress rather than your intentions. This gives insight into character, loyalty, and possible hidden agendas without exposing yourself prematurely. Timing is everything. Sharing too early often creates noise that distracts from execution, while sharing later ensures that when you do communicate, it is with results, credibility, and clarity. Silence transforms your personal plans from vague ideas or speculation into tangible achievements. Silence also communicates discretion and maturity. People naturally respect those who are measured in what they reveal. It shows thoughtfulness, self-control, and awareness of both timing and context. It signals that you are intentional and in control, which increases your influence and credibility in the eyes of others. Finally, silence empowers strategic advantage. Many plans, career moves, financial investments, creative projects gain power from surprise, discretion, and careful timing. By holding your intentions close, you retain control over how, when, and with whom your actions are revealed, ensuring maximum impact when the time comes. Example: imagine you are considering a career change or a major investment. You are in a workplace with competitive colleagues or a social environment where opinions travel fast. You could announce your plans early, sparking speculation, unsolicited advice, criticism, or even attempts to influence your choice. Some may question your timing, others may share the news before you are ready, and a few may subtly attempt to obstruct or manipulate your progress. Instead, you remain silent, focusing on preparation, updating skills, researching options, and networking quietly. You work methodically toward your goals, keeping your plans intact. When you are ready to act, your actions are fully formed, confident, and impactful. Your silence has protected your strategy, your focus, and your autonomy. When you're about to reveal personal plans, pause, consider timing, audience, and potential consequences. Stay intentional, preserve your discretion, and prioritize execution over early approval or attention. Because the less you reveal too early, the more control, clarity, and power you maintain over your own life, and the more effectively your plans can unfold exactly as you intend. 9. When you're winning quietly, there is a unique power in winning without announcing it. Whether in personal growth, career progress, business, or life in general, quiet victories carry weight that loud celebration often undermines. When you're achieving goals, gaining momentum, or quietly improving your life, the instinct to share can be strong. You might feel the need for recognition, validation, or admiration. You may want others to see your success, to acknowledge your hard work, or to match your progress with praise. Yet in many cases, revealing achievements too soon can dilute their impact or even attract unnecessary obstacles. Silence becomes a tool of strategy and protection. When you win quietly, you preserve your advantage. You control the narrative, maintain focus, and avoid creating envy, doubt, or competition among others. People react differently to success. Some celebrate genuinely, while others may feel threatened or attempt to undermine you. Announcing victories prematurely can turn allies into critics or invite unnecessary scrutiny. By staying quiet, you maintain autonomy over your progress and your emotional space. Silence also allows you to observe others while your work continues. You gain insight into people's character, how they respond to success, and who is truly supportive versus those motivated by jealousy, comparison, or self-interest. This observation is invaluable for strategic relationships, collaborations, and future planning. There's also internal benefit in quiet wins. When you measure success internally rather than externally, your confidence grows from competence, discipline, and results, not applause or validation. Silence nurtures humility while reinforcing self-respect, because you acknowledge your achievements privately without needing to perform for approval. Winning quietly is a statement in itself. Actions, results, and progress speak louder than words. By staying silent, you create a sense of intrigue and authority. Others naturally notice your accomplishments without your having to announce them. It is the subtlety of presence and consistency that commands respect more effectively than loud claims or social media updates. Silence also strengthens resilience. When recognition or praise is absent, it tests your motivation, discipline, and commitment. By focusing on outcomes rather than acknowledgement, you build internal validation, the kind that doesn't depend on anyone else. Finally, silence is a form of strategic leverage. Timing your announcement, celebration, or disclosure allows you to maximize impact. Revealing achievements when fully realized, instead of midway through progress, ensures clarity, credibility, and influence. Those who announce too early risk diminished respect, or even envy before their work is complete. Example: imagine you've been working quietly on a promotion, a creative project, or a personal milestone. Every day, you put in effort, improve skills, and achieve small wins. Your colleagues or peers might assume you are just doing your job, or unaware of your progress. You could share every success, expecting recognition, but doing so might trigger rivalry, judgment, or unwanted interference. Instead, you continue your work silently. Over time, the results speak for themselves. You receive the promotion, your project is celebrated, or your milestone is achieved in a way that commands genuine respect. People notice your consistency, discipline, and skill without you needing to announce it. Your silence allowed your success to accumulate unnoticed, creating maximum impact when it became visible. When you're winning quietly, remember, words are unnecessary for validation. Let your results speak. Maintain focus and preserve your space, because the most powerful victories are the ones others only notice when they can no longer be ignored. 10. When silence is the lesson. Sometimes, silence is not just a tactic, it is the lesson itself. Life often presents situations where speaking, reacting, or explaining offers no real benefit. In these moments, restraint is more than strategic. It is a form of wisdom. Silence, as a lesson, teaches patience, self-control, and discernment. It reminds us that not every provocation, opportunity, or question requires a response. Some circumstances are designed to test our restraint, to show us that power and clarity often reside in what is left unsaid. When we feel the urge to respond, it can stem from ego, fear, or desire for validation. Silence interrupts that impulse. It forces reflection and creates space to assess whether speaking aligns with values, goals, or emotional health. Often in hindsight, we realize the silence itself was more impactful than any words could have been. Silence also teaches others. When someone expects a reaction, a defense, or an argument, your quietness communicates strength and composure. It sets boundaries without confrontation. Others notice it subconsciously, understanding that some actions, words, or provocations will not manipulate or provoke you. The lesson of silence extends to personal growth. It trains emotional intelligence by helping you separate what demands attention from what does not. Not every slight, criticism, or challenge requires engagement. Choosing when to speak and when to remain quiet is a lifelong skill that enhances judgment, patience, and maturity. Moreover, silence fosters clarity. When you pause before responding, you observe patterns, assess motives, and understand dynamics more fully. This clarity allows for more intentional, effective, and thoughtful communication later, if and when speaking becomes necessary. There is also humility in silence. It teaches that you cannot control everything or everyone, and that sometimes letting life unfold without interference yields better outcomes. Words can complicate, escalate, or distort. Silence allows reality to reveal itself naturally. Finally,
Silence as a lesson protects your energy. Conversations, conflicts, and reactions consume mental and emotional resources. Learning to remain quiet in situations that provide no gain preserves focus, peace, and strength for what truly matters. Example: imagine someone repeatedly tries to provoke you with subtle insults or passive-aggressive remarks. Your first instinct may be to defend, explain, or retaliate. Instead, you choose silence. You acknowledge your feelings internally, observe the situation, and respond only if truly necessary. Over time, the provocateur realizes their tactics no longer work. Your quiet composure communicates more power than words ever could, teaching both restraint and control. In another scenario, you may be part of a heated debate where emotions run high and logic is lost. Instead of contributing to the chaos, you remain silent, listening carefully, letting others exhaust themselves. Later, your well-timed insight or observation carries far more weight than anything said impulsively. When silence is the lesson, it becomes a form of mastery. It teaches patience, self-control, observation, and strategic thinking. It preserves your energy, enhances your credibility, and communicates wisdom without uttering a single word. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. Learning when to speak and when to stay silent is one of life's most underrated skills. Silence is not weakness. It's strategy, it's clarity, it's self-respect. Every moment you choose restraint, observation, and patience, you are protecting your peace, preserving your energy, and strengthening your influence. Remember, words are powerful, but so is knowing when to withhold them. Some victories, lessons, and boundaries are built quietly, unseen and unspoken, and that is exactly what makes them lasting. So next time you feel the urge to react, explain, or justify, ask yourself, does this moment require my voice, or does my silence hold more power? Because sometimes saying nothing says everything. And in the end, the smartest, strongest, and most peaceful people are often those who have mastered the art of silence.